Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? It's Connor here. We're back with this morning's Leeds United news. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. There's loads of you in this chat this moment in time. Please make sure you're liking the video, as always. Apologies, it took me an extra sort of 10 minutes to get on this morning. Honestly, this setup, it takes a while. It takes a while to get ready. This is not how I normally live, so this whole setup does take a while. So thank you so much for your patience. It really does mean a lot. And thank you so much for your support as well over the past month or so. It's been amazing. Patreon numbers are going through the roof as well. So shout out to all of you guys. We've got an Across the Pond podcast, which is going out today over on Patreon if you want some bonus content. And we'll have loads of content throughout the week as well, just in general. Let's get into a couple of your comments. Let's see who's in the building today. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all well and feeling festive this Monday morning. Isn't it crazy, Steve? What date are we on? The 18th of December. Where has the time gone? Morning all, says Chris Allman. Morning, Connor. How you feel? Morning, Steve. Michael's in the building. Good morning. How you, Matt? 2 loans, and that's money not being spent. Down under service crew says 27 degrees at 8 p.m. Good evening, Connor from the Gold Coast. You absolute git. I'm so jealous. Smash a like and subscribe to Connor. Yeah, guys, would really appreciate you guys doing so. We're getting into the January months very, very soon. Don't know if you can tell, but I've got a new camera. Obviously invested in the channel with all of your guys, support this month. Obviously we've invested in a camera and a couple of other things. So I hope you can notice a little bit of a difference. That's why it takes so long to bloody start these things. Morning, Joe. A lot of you guys speaking to each other in the chat, which is always lovely to see. Okay, so I can hear a lot of you on the waves. Hi, Brett. Morning, Rich. I can hear a lot of you. No new mic, mate. No, a mic isn't needed, mate. It's just me battering it every single time I'm on stream, which means that it's problematic. But yeah, okay. So what are we looking at this morning? Well, you can see on the straight away on the thumbnail. I mean, who is that? That is Connor Bradley at Liverpool, open for a loan spell at this moment in time. Liverpool highly rate him. He was on loan at Bolton last year, I believe, got 5 assists. He's a flyer, absolute fire at this moment in time. And there is a lot of clubs vying for his signature in January. And apparently Leeds are leading the race for his signature. Can play fullback. He's been compared to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Liverpool have been dicing with putting him centrally as well, as we see with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and above all, he can also play centre-back. Like the majority of defenders nowadays, we all see centre-backs, full-backs been able to play centre-backs at the top level, and apparently it's between Leeds, Leicester, and Ipswich for his signature. Now, could this be agent talk? Of course it could, but it could also be a really smart signing by Leeds United. Highly rated at Liverpool. As I said, they don't want him to leave on a permanent transfer, but they are up for a loan away from Anfield this January. Now, why is it interesting? Well, it's interesting because we know that, in my opinion, that back line is so unbalanced at Leeds United, and it's given us a few problems, and I think we can all see that. And it's also very, very interesting because MCKENNA has spoken several times about Leeds potentially having 2 loan spots this January. Now, what do Leeds need to do this January? We all know, but is it just 2 loan spots that Leeds need this January? I'm not so sure. I think it needs to be a few more than that. I think it needs to be a few more than just a couple of loan signings. I think Leeds need to be going out and splashing the cash for proven high pedigree profiles, and I think you guys would all agree with that. But interesting how Leeds are looking at a potential fullback / centre back, and he's a young lad. I believe it's only 18 years of age, and it's going to be fascinating to see if that one develops, because that one looks like one that can definitely get done. Obviously, as a young lad, and people are wanting, clubs are wanting and vying for his signature at such a young age. So Liverpool, that would make sense for them to get rid for the remainder of the season. Would you be up for that? And does that fit into the MCKENNA plans? Kieran says, let's get a left-footed left-back, please. I think it will do the whole team justice going forward and defending. I think there's also been a lot of stuff about Kai Wagner. We've seen Kai Wagner I believe he's a free agent now, and there's a lot of rumours around him. Obviously, he was playing for Philadelphia Union. Could that progress? It's a cheap option for Leeds, and it would make sense. Once again, this guy's been rumoured to be coming to Leeds for years now, especially when Jesse Marsch was at Leeds, and it's going to be fascinating to see how these develop. But Leeds, for me, it'd be nice to see us going into the window with targets set up, lined up, and done very, very quickly. I don't want to see us being ponderous and pedestrian in this window. I want us to be assertive and aggressive. Phil says he's expecting 3 to 4 new players in January. Morning, Connor. Very poor on Saturday, says Adam Johnson. Only a win reignites our auto spot push. They successful businessmen, and in their interest to go up the season, we could lose a lot of our stars. And that's right, Kevin. When it comes to Leeds United going into next season, we all know that is going to be slightly problematic if we aren't promoted. But hopefully that is still going to be a realistic target for the Whites this season. Nige says, can Leeds splash the cash, Connor, with FFP? I think so, Nige. I don't see any problem with us when it comes to FFP at this moment in time. But it's interesting to when you're looking at that, when you're looking at the FFP, I wonder why Leeds are looking at loans. Are we being careful around that? Angus Canary said that's probably going to be the likely option this window. I think he's 20, Connor. Yeah, I think he is, Mark. He might have just turned 20. I just had a quick look on an article there. Kai Wagner says CCW, another Kiko with the racial stuff. No thanks, yeah. He's been embroiled in a few problems, hasn't he, Kai Wagner? Chris says, Perot isn't really working at a 10. Need him to play as a 9. And Phil says, we aren't in a terrible position, but we need to do better. Can't deal with the playoffs. I'm in the exact same spot, Phil. The exact same spot, mate. Next rumour, everybody. And obviously on these, I like to, have a few discussion points as well. I don't just want to hash out rumours to you guys. I think we need to have a bit of fruitful discussion when it comes to Leeds United and us going forward. And I like to see, when we do these transfer chats is a little bit different, and our USP is a little bit different because we really discuss it. It's not just listing off rumours. So please get your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll move on with that. Leeds could accept Wilfried Gnonto offers. Leeds could accept Italian international forward Wilfried Gnonto in the January transfer window offers for him. That's according to several Italian publications who claim that Serie A clubs are monitoring Gnonto's situation, potentially a loan to buy, and Premier League clubs are also looking at him. Now, I think the interesting thing with Gnonto, and this is going to rumble on, in my opinion, throughout January, but the interesting thing with him is it's obviously going to be the valuation that Leeds are going to set on Willie Gnonto. It was highly rumoured that Leeds were rejecting bids of 20, 25 million, and it's going to be fascinating to see whether or not we would open up that case again, or whether or not it's going to be a case, and a simple case, of Leeds letting Gnonto go out on loan. Why would they do that? Well, maybe they have the player's best interests at heart when it comes to that. Obviously, he is Leeds United's player, and Leeds are wanting to get promoted, obviously. But, Willie Gnonto has stuck round. Is he favoured by Daniel Farke? It doesn't look like it. Farke has mentioned several times that he wants to keep the squad that he's got right now, and he wants to keep the best players. But I think with Farke, there's a let me just rotate this camera, actually, everybody. Just downplay it, I should say. I think the big thing with Farke is the fact that he doesn't trust him. I think to start several games, and I think we saw that again the other week. I think there's been a massive opportunity for Daniel Farke to switch up and potentially put, take Gnonto. If you don't want to take Dan James out, put Gnonto in for Perot, switch it up there a little bit. We know Gnonto can play in a 10 role, and he does have that sort of fluidity with Crysencio Somerville, which I do think would work in a 10. Maybe a little bit of a hybrid 10 to shadow striker and him sort of moving across that front four. But I do think he would work as a number 10, Willie Gnonto. But Daniel Farke doesn't want to adjust what he's doing. He doesn't really, in my opinion, want to be pragmatic when it comes to changing things up where they maybe need to be changed up, and where maybe things are becoming a little bit stale at the minute. And I think this is the problem with Leeds now. You've got a player in Willie Gnonto who is a starter probably for a lot of Premier League clubs. And as much as there are Leeds fans who don't rate him, you've seen the difference when Willie comes on. When his technical ability takes 2 or 3 players out the game, you see a lot of our wingers then having space because Willie Gnonto is taking 2 or 3 players out the game. And yeah, everybody is quite right when it comes to assists, when it comes to goals, but the overall picture is Willie Gnonto is a problem. He's a problem for the opposition, and they're feeling more threat, in my opinion, when Willie's on the pitch in comparison to when Joel Perot's on the pitch, and in some game states when Dan James is on the pitch. And the problem that we're having now with Willie Gnonto is he wants to play minutes. I think when he's coming on for Leeds, he's making a difference. Now, how do Leeds sway Willie not leaving? And a lot of people say he's under contract, you keep him around. And Leeds did really, really well in the summer, keeping him around. But I do wonder if bids start to come in of a £20 million mark, or even, as I say, a loan, and then almost like an obligation to pay in the summer, maybe when the clubs are a little bit, financially wealthier when it comes to selling some of their players on, but then having the capital to invest in a Willie Gnonto. If that's a better option for Leeds and for Willie Gnonto, I think Willie should be sticking around. I want to see him in a Leeds United shirt. I want to see him starting for Leeds. I've said this now for the best part of a month. I've got dogs abuse because people think, that Dan James is in form, and I'm deluded for thinking that Willie Gnonto's a good football player because he didn't do it in the Premier League. But I genuinely feel that Willie's technical ability is above that of a Dan James and above that of a Joel Perot. And I think losing him would be a big blow. No rhyming intended there. I can understand where people are coming from when it comes to, the assists and the goals. But I think Willie's part and his position in this team is much stronger. And I would also like to see Willie Gnonto up against an Ipswich, a very, very good team in this division, who we're playing Saturday, 12:30, as opposed to a Joel Perot or a Dan James at the minute. I think the technical ability is much higher, and it's unpredictable, and Leeds are now becoming predictably predictable. If Gnonto goes, Somerville goes. Interesting, Justin, if that's what you think. Gnonto will go in January. His agent will see that. Lazio looking at Gnonto, according to Italian press. Yeah, Joe, that is the team, and it's Roma as well, which could be quite good for Leeds because you could get a Roma bidding war for Leeds. But I don't think it's going to be anything that we're expecting. And we're not financial experts, are we? And as fans. But, you could see maybe installments when it's coming from the Italian league. But the Italians will splash the cash, and it makes a lot of sense for an Italian side for me because, if you've got like Italy obviously playing in the World Cup. It is the World Cup, isn't it? Am I going mental? It is the World Cup, isn't it? Let me check. I don't know why. I always get the Euros and the World Cup mixed up. It's the World Cup, isn't it? Next summer. I'm going mental. What's going on? Or is it the summer? No, it is the World. Is it the World Cup? Lads and girls, let me know in the comment section below. Is it the World Cup or is it the Euros? I'm going absolutely nuts. Yeah, going crazy. But let me know in the comment section. But Euros, it's Euros, Matt, isn't it? Flipping heck. I don't know why I thought it was the World Cup. But the Euros, for example, if you're an Italian team and you can spend 20 million on Willie Gnonto, potentially plus add-ons, and you've got the international staple, you've got a player who's going to be potentially one of the top players in that Italian side, flair-wise, going forward-wise. It's a massive, massive addition for you because you're getting the poster boy, the Italian poster boy. You're getting him in for 20 million, maybe plus add-ons, whatever, how they can sell it to Leeds, whatever. You're bringing him back to Serie A. It's a massive selling point, and a lot of clubs, for me, would do that because of the long-term impact. Willie's going to get better. Imagine him in Serie A. It'd be ridiculous. And you've got the Italian poster boy. So it makes a lot of sense for a Serie A club, let's say Lazio, part of the Champions League, Roma, to invest for not only short-term but long-term benefits as well. So, yeah, I think Simon says the four of them getting each other's way, maybe just play two up top. Gnonto opens up spaces when we subject to a low block for other teams to exploit. I agree, Kevin. I think it's a lot of it is different. And I get listen when people are talking about assists and goals, that's what football's based on nowadays. But I think Gnonto brings a lot more to the party. Teams are worried, and you've heard managers literally talk about Willie Gnonto in the Championship. They can bring Willie Gnonto off the bench. It's always Gnonto. If it's players or if it's managers in this division, post press conference, pre press conference, it's always Willie Gnonto because he is the biggest threat. In many other ways, but just goals and assists, which might sound balmy, but it is true. So I'd be really sort of like down if Willie was to go, but I think we need to really start playing him. don't play him, the rumours are going to increase and increase. Something else as well, we've been speaking about January, and according to Alan Nixon and a few articles as well, down south, Kieran McKenna, Ipswich Town are going to back McKenna in next month's transfer market by giving him cash to sign a striker as they look to secure promotion back to the Premier League. Obviously, their striker now is George Hurst. George Hurst's okay, but there are more potent strikers out there. But that is Ipswich's number one target, according to several sources. Going into January. Now, why is that a discussion point? Well, it's a discussion point because they already have that place targeted. They're willing, according to Alan Nixon, to spend up to £5 million on a striker. A lot of people think that Ipswich are skint. Ipswich aren't skint, because they're a League One side. They are not skint whatsoever. If anything, Leeds and Ipswich are two of the more financially wealthy sides in this division. Ipswich 100%. They were bought, and I think their owners are worth X amount when it comes to billion. They are cashed. They are cash backed. So yeah, it's interesting that I did wonder, and it's going to be fascinating to see what Ipswich do in the January window. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on because them going big on a striker, if they're able to get that deal done quickly, Ipswich look like quite an efficient club. When it comes to a data run model as well, they've got certain players in for really good value. When it comes to obviously Wes Burns, Connor Chaplin, Broadhead, Nathan Broadhead, and they've got a couple of bargains in that side. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how they go about this striker. And it obviously this is what I was saying to you guys previously. This now emphasizes as well the notion that Leeds need to be not only proactive, but reactive to what other clubs are going to be doing. And when you look at Leicester, when you look at Ipswich, they are the clubs ahead of us. And if they're going out and adding players to their side, we know that Leicester have got AFCON, and a lot of their players might be heading out there or will be heading out there. Are they going to invest in a couple of reserves that they can bring in on loan just to stop that gap a little bit, fill the gap, I should say? And Ipswich, it's going to be fascinating to see how they go about their business as well, because whatever they do is going to impact what Leeds United do as well, in terms of what we should be doing. And if they're able to bring in a higher caliber of player, Leeds need to be doing the same really in this window. Can we offer Bamford to Ipswich? Do you think Bamford's worth $5 million? I don't know. That's because he's been injured. He's fully fit and getting 10 minutes, not enough time. Presumably that's with Willie Gnonto. Ipswich are very shrewd with the cash, says Brett. Yeah, they are. They've got a lot of money, Brett. A hell of a lot of money. And yeah, it's interesting because I did a bit of reading on it not long ago and I didn't realise how bankrolled they actually are. But then it's difficult. The majority would rather have Rutter up top than Bamford. Getting a goal scorer in Jan is near impossible. No team wants to let them go halfway through. It's already a risk. I guess, Hugh, I think probably what Ipswich will be looking at doing is probably going to potentially, Europe or going down a division and picking up, as we've seen plenty of times, Championship sides doing, picking up the top scorer in League One, which I think so. If you can see them transitioning to the Premier League, like a League One top scorer, a good example would be Carlton Morris, who's now at Luton. He was at Barnsley doing really, really well. Luton picked him up. And then obviously, like, he's doing really well in the Premier League now. Carlton Morris, one of their better players, Luton. So it's whether or not you can see a League One player transitioning not just to the Championship but also long term. And Ipswich do look long term. So it's going to be fascinating to see if they do go, and pick up a League One top scorer. We've seen that work previously, haven't we? So yeah, it's always an interesting tactic. Lars is in the building. He says, I've defended Meslier for the first half of the season, but now he's starting to come out of his closet again, so I don't think we need a new left back and a 10, but a new goalkeeper as well. No, to me, I don't hate the guy. He just needs to improve or maybe free up some wages so we could improve in other areas. Presumably Matthew's talking about either Bamford or Gnonto there. But yeah, interesting about Eli Meslier there, Lars. I mean, I've sort of kind of said it from the start, as you guys are aware of. I mean, for about 2 years now. It's not trying to be overcritical of the guy. I think I try to take sentiment out of it, and I've got no sentimental value towards someone like Eli Meslier. He's just a goalkeeper for my club. I don't think he's that good. You guys know that. So yeah, I'd agree with you, mate. I mean, I was saying at the start of the season in the summer, I wanted 2 left backs and I wanted 2 goalkeepers. We got a goalkeeper. I was hoping we sold Eli Meslier on, but Eli Meslier didn't have any suitors, and we wonder why that was. So what did we learn last week? Well, we learned that Charlie Cresswell, Leeds are not willing to sell him on a permanent deal after all the rumours were circulating. And that could still happen. But according, once again, to several sources, there's 3 British tabloids are reporting that Southampton and Borough are keen on signing Charlie Cresswell on a loan deal in the January transfer window. So loan is an option for Leeds, but a transfer isn't. If Leeds were to loan out Charlie Cresswell to Southampton, for me, that is mental. It's absolutely mental. Now, there's 2 sides of looking at this. A, his development is going to be enhanced, isn't it? It's going to be enhanced because he's playing for a better team. But Southampton are in a complete race with Leeds United for promotion. You do not want to be strengthening them. I'd arguably not want to strengthen Middlesbrough as well. Now, the problem is, when you're looking at Charlie's development, if we are thinking about keeping him, he was almost at a sort of midi team, like maybe a little bit above a midi team in Millwall last season. And you always want to see a youth products development increase, right? So that's what Leeds will be looking at. So you kind of look at that next step. He's not going to get any Premier League offers. He's not, good enough at the minute for that, and he's not had enough development. So then what do you look at? Well, you look at the next option. It's Championship. So Leeds will be thinking, well, he needs almost that with more game time. So I think he went through sort of like a third of the season with Millwall where he wasn't getting enough minutes, but he really improved towards the latter end of the season. But Leeds will be looking at that next step up when it comes to Charlie's development. So then what do they do? Do they send him to a promotion rival? I think that'd be nuts. Now, we've seen with Sam Greenwood, that's caused a lot of controversy. Now, I don't think with Leeds fans it's caused controversy because he'd be getting in, week out. I think with Leeds fans, it's annoyed many supporters because of the 1.5 million obligation, and Southampton probably, when you're looking at Charlie Cresswell, will be looking at an option to buy. What will Leeds United then look at, Will Leeds turn around and say, well, look, he's not playing for us, so we'll let him go? I just don't want us to go through the same mistake. Niall Huggins is doing really, really well. I know it's very different because we don't have a full-back at the minute, or we don't have full-backs at the minute. Well, I guess Spencer's just come back, so he can classify as that, but he's not playing in his right position. So that emphasises the point when you're looking at Niall Huggins. It emphasises the point even more when you're looking at youth products that have gone in Leif Davis. But there are many others who've gone and not really done anything, McCalmont, McCarran. So it's a weighing up balance for Leeds United. But Charlie Cresswell, I think he's a good footballer. And I think he is a future captain of this club. And Leeds have got to be extremely careful with what they do here. I think this is a very, very important window for Charlie Cresswell and for Leeds United. They can't get this wrong because I think, you brought him up from when he was a kid. He's done well when he's come in my opinion. A couple of cup games where he's been a bit rusty, but he's feeling the pinch right now because Daniel Farke does not rate him. Well, there will be, evidence that he doesn't rate him. He doesn't play him at all. It looks like Cooper's still ahead of him. He still talks glowingly about Cooper. So when you're looking at Charlie Cresswell and his development from a personal standpoint, I'd be looking at leaving. 100%. And if Southampton are coming in for me, you're knocking on the door there and you're thinking, well, can I go? Because you're not playing me. You don't fancy me, so why would I stick around? Send Cresswell to Lincoln. I don't think that's going to happen, mate. I don't think that's going to happen whatsoever. Obviously, like we know, he's been, he's at Millwall last season. He's not going to go to Lincoln now. Harker back to when Arsenal reached Martinez and thought the price was too much. Should we have signed him? Mate, we should have signed plenty of players back in the day. Do you remember when we signed Rodrigo over Watkins? When Watkins was in the picture. Farke is Gold 5 fighter pilot from Star Wars. So we need to change strategy. Stay on target as we drop all points playoffs. Michael says Cresswell, he gets his 6 odd goals from set pieces. He is misused a waste. Justin says he didn't even play in the 23s, 21. Send him to a mid-table or lower team to get experience. I agree. I think they've just got to be, even if it was a Millwall again, a Millwall or a club of that ilk, I just think we've got to be careful with what we do with him. His development is key, him being a loan product, but sending him to Southampton or even a Middlesbrough, I don't think it's a good strategy from Leeds. So we'll wait and see. And see how that develops. Daniel Farke has admitted the other day, Sunderland and Coventry have exposed a Leeds United weakness. Daniel Farke agreed that Sunderland and Coventry have outlined the blueprint to frustrate Leeds United. The Whites have earned just 1 point from 2 fixtures, despite managing 67% and 66% possessions in both contexts. And as we know, in each game, Leeds have struggled to break down a resilient back line. Promotion favourites Ipswich arrive in West Yorkshire this weekend. It should provide a different test. And this is, I guess, this is where it's going to be beneficial for Leeds. I'll get into the Ipswich chat in just a little bit. But Farker said yes. Whether Sunderland and Coventry have outlined the blueprints of frustrate Leeds, but we also have faced this approach in 7 home games and we won them all. So it means it is perhaps encouraging that they try to press higher. I expect this because we are so capable. I like that how we're so dominant and we can push the opponent back to play more or less like a power play in their half. The only difference today in comparison to the other home games was that in previous game we showed more effectiveness when it countered or returned with a clean sheet. And he's not wrong there. He's not wrong there whatsoever, but I think it's he's right to acknowledge that we are now in a moment where we're getting pressed occasionally, well, quite thoroughly actually, away from home and at home as well. I think teams are picking their moments to press Leeds and they're doing it well. And teams are sitting back, which is causing problems for Leeds because we can't get in those transitional counter-attacking moments where we had so dangerous. We even saw against Coventry that the most dangerous Leeds was when Coventry had come forward and Leeds were breaking on them. Aside from that, it was an okay affair, but Leeds didn't really damage a below average Coventry side. Have I just said Norwich or Coventry? Coventry side. So yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, but he needs to start being pragmatic, in my opinion, and figuring out ways when teams sit back against Leeds. I think Marcelo Bielsa was able to do that. Farker needs to show a little bit of pragmatism and understanding on how to rotate subs at the right time because he's getting that thoroughly wrong at the minute. As I said, the probably the obvious one was bringing Gelhardt on in the 85th minute. Interesting not bringing Jaden Anthony on at all, and bringing Willie Gnonto on in the 78th, 79th minute, and you're just giving him no time whatsoever. We made the comparison at the weekend to Ipswich. Ipswich having 11 goals from their substitutes, and concurrently you're seeing those players do much better, in my opinion, because I think systematically it's a little bit better for them. It's a little bit more fluid than what we have at the minute. I feel like ours is just based on individuals at this moment in time, but also they're given more minutes. They're given more minutes statistically than what the Leeds players are as a collective. So yeah, interesting to look at that. But when he's talking about Ipswich there as well, Ipswich coming against Leeds this weekend, it could be an advantage for Leeds because you're not going to see Ipswich sit back. You're going to see Ipswich come for Leeds, and it's going to be a fluid style of football, which Leeds are going to have to counteract. And that's the beauty of playing Ipswich this weekend. It's the fact that Leeds are probably going to be able to get a few opportunities on the counter-attack, but we've got to be a little bit better at the back. AJ, morning, Connor. How you, mate? Yeah, guys, if you wouldn't mind hitting the likes, I've not really spoken about it this morning, but it just means that it'll show up a little bit on the algorithm as well. Yeah, so please make sure you're liking the video as well. What shambles over the weekend? Yeah, I'd agree, mate. It doesn't help when our players want to overcomplicate play, a refusal to put crosses in as well. Yeah, and it's a bit of a nightmare because we're bringing in players and you're bringing in like a Patrick Bamford, for example, and Patrick Bamford, you're not hitting him. You're not hitting him on the counter attack whatsoever. We're not utilizing his strength. You're bringing him on, and what are we doing? It's Patrick Bamford just stood in the box. I don't think he got a touch at the weekend. And if you're bringing Bamford on, if you're bringing Gnonto on, at least try and put the ball in the mixer. And let's try do something different. I'd like to see us do that a little bit more. I'd like to see us be a little bit different when it comes to approaching play, and I'm sure you guys are the exact same. At points, let's go for the route one. Let's win those second balls. Let's put the balls into the box. I think these short passes at the minute are a style of play, and I understand why we're doing it, but at the same time, it's not benefiting Leeds whatsoever, in my opinion. We need to start varying play, and I think you guys are all in agreement. Leeds, Everton, and Burnley are all linked with Ghent star Archie Gray. Archie Gray joined Lausanne from Derby. He impressed at the Swiss side, and apparently, according to Vertbel Grant, Leeds are pushing harder than anybody else in the party ahead of Everton, Burnley, and other clubs to sign the left back in January. His deal would cost around about £5 million. So it'd be an excellent signing. He's got huge potential. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Leeds can get this done really, really quickly. And if we can get this done in January, it's a left back. Thank God it will be Leeds spending money. Thank God, and not just going for the loan options. And listen, it'll be fascinating to see if we're able to get this done and get this done really quickly. And we've actually got a left back, and you can put Jed Spence to right back. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Leeds United news. Really appreciate that. Please let me know in the comment section what you think. I go through all of these comments. We've got a podcast coming out later on today with myself and Gabe on the Patreon. If you want to go over there and get some bonus content, we will have an evening video for you guys discussing what's gone on today with Leeds United as well. Hope you're enjoying the content. Please make sure you check out the weekend stuff. If you haven't, we've got the debrief tomorrow. We've got content flying as well. Generation Leeds will be on the Patreon as well, everybody. It is content. It's been an absolute pleasure this morning, everybody, and I will see you on the other side. Cheers.